Good evening, friends. Sid Banerjee here. Sorry, I got a bit late. Got stuck up with something, so I couldn't come on time, as promised. Anyway, as the title of this live video says, that I have spent quite a few years in active cricket. So I started my cricketing career way back in 1990, which was a long time ago. And then have spent a lot of time with cricket, actively participating in. So I forgot to tell you, I started my cricket in a state of Bengal in India, and then obviously played the ranks up. I came to the game pretty accidentally, but now once I came into the game and I got a bit of initial success, I started taking it seriously and going up the ranks, and the hard work started from there. So there's a lot of effort that we had to put in those days to get to the next level. Anyway, cut long story short, so what exactly was the reason for me to come today on Facebook is I have spent enough time with Indian cricket from very close, actively and passively from an administrative view as well. And I've spent enough time with the Australian cricketing, the domestic cricketing circuit. I have been a coach in Australian cricket. I've been a player of Australian cricket, and I'm talking about in domestic club levels. So given that the situation, I can actually understand where things have gone wrong. Now, if you take a step back, so what we'll do, we'll break this session up into two parts. One is what has gone wrong with Australian cricket today. And two is what is going really well with Indian cricket today. So I'll come back to the Indian cricket a little bit later. First of all, in Australia, talking about how the circuit is, there are 6 states in Australia that play serious cricket, namely Victoria, New South Wales, Western Australia, South Australia, Tasmania, and Canberra, or ACT. And Queensland as well, so apologies for that. And probably we have a team with Northern Territory as well. But seriously, in terms of Sheffield Shield, that's the cricket that we have, the structure-wise. So Australia's first-class cricket is called Sheffield Shield cricket. That is a 4-day kind of game, and it is pretty equivalent to what we have in India called as Ranji Trophy. Now, obviously, in India, we have 37 Ranji Trophy sides that play the game. So we have all the states having a Ranji Trophy team, pretty much all the states, and then some additional ones like services, which comprises of the Indian forces, which is Army and Air Force together. Then we have the Indian Railways team, and so on and so forth. So we have multiple teams from the same state. For example, we have a Gujarat team, and we have a Saurashtra team. We have a Baroda team, which is all from the state of Gujarat. From Maharashtra, we have 3 teams, which is the Bombay team, the Maharashtrian team, and the Vidarbha team. So there are multiple teams from each state as well. But where we are getting into now is basically, given that the scenario, so what has gone wrong right now? Now, if you take back the era of Ricky Ponting, or let's say the Stephen Watt era, or even Alan Border era. So as time rolled by and as cricket developed, the cricketing environment has changed in the recent times, and that's why the demise is in the recent times. If you go back 20 years ago, when there was no IPL, there was no Big Bash, there was no T20 cricket, there was no not much money in even in second level of cricket, other than Test cricket and on internationals. So and the fame as well, and the fame and the name and money. So given all that, every cricketer used to strive really hard and really put in hard efforts to make sure that they can get in the Australian cricket team. Now, given that the scenario, I'll give an example of Simon Katich. Simon Katich had to score 1,500 runs and plus before he could make across to the national side. And he had to wait. I mean, there were times when even Ricky Ponting had to struggle to get into the side. Because did that mean that they left the game of the cricket and tried something shortcut, some quick fame? Not really. So they made the hard yards and then made it to the ground. Now, if you look at, I was talking to one of my cricketing friends from my club cricket days here in Australia, and that's his name is Stuart Easton, and he used to be my captain when I was playing for the Carnegie Cricket Club. And I'll quickly read out to you what Stuart actually said, and I'll probably highlight to you what did he mean by that when he said so. So and I completely agree with what he said. So what Stuart actually said here is, I'll just read it out to you. It says, Australian cricket crisis starts from beginning in juniors. They have modified length of wicket. So in Australia, in the juniors level, we have modified the wicket. The wicket is not 22 yards. It's shortened down a bit. And one has to retire if you're playing well as a batsman, if you're playing well, and one has to retire after scoring 25 or 50 runs, depending on the game. If it is a short-term game, it's like a 20-20 kind of a game, then you retire after 25. And if it's a longer term, then 50, and give the other people a chance to play. So I understand that, but does that really help? Again, the second part is, depending on the age group that was. Now, the second part was the senior cricket seems to have a lack of, that's what Stuart says, the senior cricket seems to have a lack of drive or inspiration to go to the highest level. Is that because people want to chase money and stay at local clubs? Give you an easy example. Cricketers like Glenn McGrath. Glenn McGrath used to be a country boy who was far away from the main city of Sydney. Now he actually chucked all that up, came all the way to the Sydney suburbs and then played cricket there. And then he became Glenn McGrath. There were a whole heap of other examples. Josh Hazlewood is another example who really worked hard to get into the team. And that's why he's one of the longer lasting, really well. So any player in the current team that are performing really well, if you dig deep and you find out why they are doing so, because they have made the hard yards. There's no quick shortcut to a success. Again, going back to Stuart's lines there, is the next level too big a jump? Is there no assistance from Cricket Australia running camps or programs aimed at cricketers with potential to help groom them? Now, I'll come back to that point, but before I just something just sprang in my mind today, and I was playing cricket for Coles Sharks cricket team in Melbourne, Glenferrie Sharks, and we actually won the Shield that year. We actually won the Premiership that year, and at that point of time, I was probably aged at around 35 or 36 years of age. My age was 35 or 36 years of age. Now, in Australia, there are two, in the domestic club level, there are two levels of cricket that happens. One is a one-day cricket, which is generally a 40-over match. Sometimes it's 50, depending on what level you're playing. But more popularly, 40 overs match, and a 2 days match. So which is, you play a 2 days match. The 2 days are not played on consecutive days. They are played over a weekend and two. So basically, if you are playing on Saturday this week, the next day would be Saturday the week after. So it's not that you have playing on a Saturday, the second day that you play is on the following Sunday or the next day itself. So basically there'll be a gap of 7 days between the 2 days. Now, I remember when I was playing for this team and I rocked up in the second day. We had a situation when I was actually playing both days. I was playing Saturday for one grade and I was playing Sunday for the other. I was playing for two clubs as well. So there was funny stuff happening there. And that's all happening at the age of 36. Now, I bumped across a guy, I won't take his name, and I will just say, well, he was 18 years of age, and he didn't rock up the second day. Obviously, we ran short of one player, and it was really hard for us to keep up with the pressure of the game. And I asked him one quick question, an 18-year-old guy, by the way. And I said, I took his name and said, wait, what went wrong? Why didn't you rock up? So he said, the answer I got from him is he was too tired to rock up. Now, again, if that had happened in India for any Indian cricketing club side, then that would be the last time you would see him playing cricket for that club. So I think we are comparatively much softer in Australian cricketing circuit. Cricket here is, as I've seen so far, is more becoming, has always probably been. At a stage when you can go wrong or right, and whether you go wrong or right will stay for the rest of your life. At a stage like that, Australian cricketing circuit is very casual. I'm sad to say this. They don't go to the next level of converting a fun to a journey. They want people to have fun, people to play their game. As a result of that, I'm talking about absolutely at the ground level. So we call it a Milo cricket level. So which is like people, the kids cricket level. So once we get through that kids cricket level, we don't care how they're hitting the ball. We don't care how they're throwing the ball. We don't care how they're bowling. We just want them to play. Now, that is probably an expression of desperation. And that desperation is we just want them to do whatever they want to do as long as they're coming to a cricket ground to play the game of cricket. So it's basically kind of, in a roundabout way, as if they are doing a favor to the game to help the game survive. So they are not adjusting to the game. The game is basically adjusting to their levels, or whatever they want to do, that's fine. Now, if that is an environment that you're starting your cricketing sport, or any sport for that matter, with, then the next level is, and this happens only particularly in cricket. In footy, it's a very different game altogether. In footy, you don't have to go against your family to play the game. Everybody comes, everybody is part of the game. It's a hardcore game, body contact game. It's full on. Whereas cricket isn't that much. You have to justify that while you're playing the game. Probably 7 hours of a day or 5 hours of a day you're wasting in the game when you could have done something else. Anyway, cut long story short, so where we are at, then this attitude, this kind of a casual attitude, or I would say, that fun attitude, flows through different levels towards the senior cricket level, so towards the club cricket level. Now, in clubs, we have Division A, B, C, D, E, blah, blah, blah. In every level, apart from the grade A level, and a little bit of grade B level, from C onwards, failing or failure is okay. Now, once you accept, there's a famous saying, one of the Australian army chief once said, that the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. Now, once we get to the trend of accepting that mediocrity, then that stays forever. Now what happens? So when you have an environment of this mediocrity, when you see, if you have a team of 11 players, only 3-4 of them are really serious about the game in the actual sense of the term serious, where they're focused, they have emotional roller coaster of failure and success, and they are pretty switched on. They don't have to be promoted or talked into the coming to the ground and being a part of the team, blah, 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 who are naturally passionate about the game. But in them, most people, I think the percentage of people who couldn't care less sort of an attitude, or happy with the way I am, and that's how I am, that's the best I can do. Yes, they give their best, but is the best good enough? So there's no, I can't say that once they're on the ground, their attitude is, I couldn't care. Now, the attitude is, yes, I'll give my 100%, I'll give my absolute best. I understand that. That's the beauty of Australian cricket. But the problem here is the lack of the skill. And the lack of skill doesn't come overnight. Talent comes overnight, but skill, you have to harness it. You have to work towards it. When I started my career, I used to be the number 11 batsman and never get close to batting. I probably didn't get enough chance to even bat. Then slowly I took it seriously and I worked on that skill. Am I the best batsman ever the world has produced? Not really. But am I a better batsman than when I started my cricket? Absolutely. So when I was towards my end of my career, I was scoring 90s, 80s, 60s, 70s, centuries. And when I started my cricketing career as a bowler, I could barely meet a ball in the middle of the bat. So this is an easy example. And I'm talking about I played in WACA, and I've scored 91 runs on my first ever game in WA. And when the ball actually goes past my nose, and I came flying from India. So I came on a Wednesday. I flew from India on a Wednesday. I scored an 89 runs the weekend before. Flew to WA on a Wednesday. A little bit of practice on a Thursday when I could see every ball is going past my nose. And then I played that Saturday and I scored 91 runs and took 4 wickets. Now, it's not I'm bragging about cricket. All I'm saying here is I actually worked so much on my batting at that point of time without even ignoring my bowling. My bowling was there and I could give my 100% on the bowling. But when I'm batting, I'm trying to better myself. I'm trying to not repeat the same mistake. I'm trying to find out where did I go wrong. I'm trying to watch carefully what other good batsmen are doing. And cricket is not a game of only skill. It's a game of skill and also in a mental attitude, more mental than skill. And that's just that part. So coming back, so that Stuart was talking to me about this, and I said, look, if you think of my tenure with the club, at the age of 38, 9, 40 or something like that, I was scoring, 5 or 6 50s. I was the highest scorer, and I won some prizes, if you probably can see. And that is after I left the game, in the serious part of the game. So where I'm coming from, once you have a skill and you have your focus around it, and you can work around that. But it is like Peter Hanscom, for example. Peter Hanscom always used to stand deep inside his crease. And what was happening? He was meeting the balls so late, and in a back foot, the ball is never on the right. So if he gets hit on his pads, it's LBW. And that's why he now in this innings he changed his stance and he came a little bit forward. So he hasn't changed his game overnight and entirely. So all he did is sat down and worked out with some seniors saying, where am I going wrong? And probably Ricky Ponting went up to him and said, why don't you go a little bit further down the crease and change your way you are standing. Not change nothing but just the position of your stance. So anyway, so that is one thing that always bothers me, that given the infrastructure we have in this country, it's not properly utilized because of lack of approach and attitude. Now going back to Stewie's line where Cricket Australia's support is not much there, I can vouch for that because I have been a coach of 4 different clubs in Australia and I've never ever seen anything coming from Cricket Australia, whether it's a grant for a camp or a coaching session or a coaching camp, nothing. There are so many ex-Australian greats. I actually was a part of a private coaching center, a coaching kind of a cricket coaching company that hires junior coaches, middle or senior coaches, and celebrity coaches. So I was a part of that, and I used to go to different parts of Victoria and New South Wales. So I've been to places like Hamilton, Horsham, Bendigo, and Young and Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. So, and people who were coaching with me were Damien Fleming, Terry Alderman, Graham Yellow, Merv Hughes. And that's where I found that there's so much of potential. People used to come to me and ask me questions, but that is happening from, it's a 3-day camp where it's to be honest with you, it was more, I found it more commercially done than actually developing cricket. So that was a bit disappointing. And I didn't find the superstar coaches spending enough time sharing their thoughts with the kids. Again, it was more like bringing a star to the ground to pull the crowd in, as opposed to getting the thing out of that. Getting the input from that star. The other problem I found in that aspect was pretty much the people who were attending to that camp, all the kids that came to the camp, were not of a level who can understand or who has reached that level of understanding what level of cricketing coaching tips will come from the star. So if you expect Richie Richardson or if you expect Ricky Ponting to come and show you how to hold a bat, then, well, that's a waste of time, because you go past all that and then you get the super level of training. So that is not happening at the grassroots level. In the grassroots level, we don't see enough thing happening. The only thing that happens in grassroots level is a Milo cricket, where you have a bat and a ball and you just bang the way you want to bang it. And then the families, the only time they get a family support or the family engagement, unfortunately, I have never seen parents coming and watching a game throughout. For people who are cricketers who are aged 17, 18, 19, whatever it is, never. Now, again, this is what I've noticed. I could be wrong, and I'll be happy if I'm wrong. But the other thing was that when these, the only time the people are engaged, or the only time the parents are engaged as well, unfortunately, is the Big Bash League. And you see, if you look at today's situation here, Australia, after 4 tests, there is not a single batsman who has scored the 80 runs mark. And India has scored 5 centuries, and then the number 9 or 10 batsman comes and scores 80 runs odd. There are so many 70s, 80s fluttering around there. A wicketkeeper comes and scores 21 years of age. So you can't blame age here. He scored 140, 150 plus runs at the age of 21, and he's only played 9 test matches. And this is the second century in 9 Test match. The first one was against England, which was again probably 4-5 Tests in the past. So where I'm coming from is, I'll come back to the Indian structure, how Rishabh Pant is coming out of this, how Mayank Agarwal is coming out of this, how strategically India has played with this. So coming back to this, so this is why there is no supply. And then now, at this point of time, if Australia goes back and tries to find out, they don't have a setup, they don't have a player that they can say, well, he doesn't score runs, but he spends a lot of time in the wicket. There's nothing. So there is no player in Australia at this point of time in the domestic level who is scoring whole heap of runs like a Simon Katich used to. Now, Simon Katich, why am I giving his example? He's not a David Garr. He's not, not an Alan Border, or he's not a Kim Hughes or whoever. Forget about him being Ricky Ponting or something. But I'm just saying he's not one of the best left-hander opening batsmen you can ever see or even watch people batting. But he had two things in his mind. One is he knew his limitations, and he would cut the mistakes off. So once you cut the mistakes off, once you know your limitation, you create your own corridor. Pujara is not the best classical batsman to watch, but what he does, he eliminates the mistake. He doesn't go and chase balls that he doesn't have to. He makes you bowl to him, towards him, and to his points and to his strength. The balls that he can't hit, he doesn't hit them. He doesn't go above himself. He doesn't talk to himself and saying, I have now scored 100, 200s already. I can play this shot. I probably can. Nah, he wouldn't do that. He will stick to the percentage. He will stick to what he can and what he does the best. So that's the maturity that Simon Katich had, and that's why he was pulled in the team, because he scored those many runs. So once either you try and score a lot of runs, and once you spend a lot of time on the wicket, you will automatically score runs. If we're talking about Pujara spending a lot of time. But think of it, he scored a lot of runs as well. So you can't, just be on a wicket and not score runs. The thing is that how to be on the wicket is where you need to understand and spend some time. So all in all, I think the Big Bash leagues now, we have 4 Test matches going on. Do you think there's anybody out there who's keen to play? No. Do you think Australia is buzzing with Test cricket? Not really. Even in during the Test cricket time, we have commentators talking about also what is happening in Big Bash. What did the Hurricanes do? What did the Strikers do? What did the Stars do? As opposed to talking about how we can, win and make a turnaround. Peter Handscomb was dropped for form, and they had to bring him back because the guy who replaced Peter Handscomb after the second Test was Mitch Marsh. Didn't work. And if you see how Mitch Marsh got out, he was trying to hit the ball, to hit his way out of trouble. It is like swimming upstream. So then they had to bring back Peter Handscomb. Now, that is how helpless the cricketing structure at this point of time in Australia is, that a batsman is failing, you replace him with another batsman, he fails, you haven't got a third batsman to go back to from the domestic level and come and pick him up and ask him to play for Australia. You have to go back to what you have. So you're pretty much juggling with the 3 balls that you have in your hand. There's no 4th ball that can actually replace one of the balls that are not in tune or not in sync. Whereas in India, so Big Bash is a T20 league, which is kind of very close to the IPL, which is happening at the moment. Lots of players are playing. There's overseas players. Players from every nook and corner of Australia are playing. Pastime greats like Faulkner, like George Bailey, like you just name it. So everybody is, engrossed in the grounds are going full, the kids are coming, the parents are coming, they're enjoying. All they're doing is watching circus, is watching slogging and not cricket. Because if there was real cricket happening, then there will be 5 people queuing up to come and rescue Australia. There is no one. Australia has, if people are talking about, if there's no way you can demean India's success here. India has got the success on the merit of their own caliber. They made look Australia very ordinary. They exposed what needed to be exposed so that the team can now work on that and turn around. And the officials, the Cricket Australia officials, can basically look into this thing and the scenario from a different perspective without having any sense of complacency of historical data. Ricky Ponting and Australia in his era, Steve Waugh and Australia in his era are now history. We have to move on, and that's where there was no succession plan. So the succession plan doesn't come automatically. You need to have a structure to have the succession plan. There is nothing happening in the domestic level, in the grassroots level, at the under 19, under 15, under 16. Now, there's one funny thing that I missed out saying, is if a player, let's say if a junior cricketer from Australia plays a bit of good cricket, so he scores, let's say 100, or he scores a 75, a couple of matches here and there, and if he looks a bit good, then the whole focus is now gone to him. He can make the ranks up pretty quickly. So he doesn't have to really work hard and be consistent for a longer period of time to show that he has got the mettle in him over a period of time, that he can actually play at a very high level for a longer period of time. And that's where the problem is because they are going up the ranks without getting tested too much. And because there is not much of happening cricketers around, then obviously we are making these cricketers more happening with a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people. Because in a big array, in a big spread of mediocrity, anybody a little bit above average looks superlative. So that is the problem we're having here. And why am I saying all this? The example is here. We couldn't replace a player. Now, sometimes it will work. Sometimes we have, for example, Harris playing really well. But the world already knows that Harris cannot play short balls coming at him. He's got hit on his helmet 3 times today. I mean, not today, but over the series. And he doesn't have he hasn't shown that he has something to combat that. Now, if you remember, there was a time when Bumrah was bowling him bouncer after bouncer, so 3 bouncers in a row. First one he ducked, second one he probably got hit, or probably the other way around, and then the third one he went and played a shot. What happened there? Easy catch in the deep fine leg to Ishant Sharma, and that's it. That's the end of him. Now, obviously he's scoring runs. That's fair enough, but can he last for too long under pressure situations? If Dale Steyn bowls at him, if Morne Morkel bowls at him, if James Anderson bowls at him, can he work them out? Well, time will tell. Australia is going for a test series against Sri Lanka, and then obviously the World Cup is coming. But we'll see how it goes. Again, back to shortcut cricket. So Australia don't have a base to go back to now and say, can you come and play for Australia? Because there is nobody in the Australian cricketing circuit. Whatever you saw today, or whoever you are seeing on the field, that's the best that Australia can come up with. Now, take a step back. We're talking about, we didn't do too well because there was no Steve Smith and there was no David Warner, right? So instead of, India could have always said that, we were in big trouble when Lakshman, Dravid, Saurav, Sachin, the 4 stalwarts of cricket, and Sehwag, 5 of them left game within a year or two's gap. Did we sit down and do nothing about it? We actually went up after that. So then came Mahendra Singh Dhoni, then came Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane. They took the team up. Yes, we had the odd jerks and jolts here and there, but we had already. Now, if you look at the Indian team right now, we already have a fight. Who's going to be the keeper? Mayank Agarwal, Rishabh Pant is gone now after the test. Mahendra Singh Dhoni comes back in. He comes back because he needs to play the World Cup with his level of knowledge of the game and his input to the game, and obviously the X factor about him. So that's there. Then again, we have Ridhiman Saha, who is one of the finest keepers. So it's there's always a supply. Now, so this is where we are at in Australian domestic cricket level. I'm seeing menacing signs there. It's not really looking good at the moment because the amount of marketing and backing that Big Bash gets, Sheffield Cricket doesn't get that. In empty stadiums, there's nothing happening there. There is no coaching camps going on in different parts of the country, in different local cricket. There is no guidance. People just can't play their own. And as you grow up, you're on your own. Unless you really work yourself out, and then they ask themselves the question. It doesn't. And when you're young, you look at glamour, you look at color, you look at obviously a bit of fame and a bit of money. All that is in Big Bash or T20. So obviously there's no one to control. There was no one to kind of compel, and there's no one to have the reality check. Look at India. India now coming back to why India is doing so well at the moment. So Indian cricket took a massive U-turn with IPL. As much as we don't like IPL, but see what IPL has done and how IPL has actually, how Indian cricketing board with senior cricketers, people like Sourav Ganguly, people like Rahul Dravid has worked. Now, if you look at Indian cricket structure, India has won the World Cup recently. So that's under 19 I'm talking about. So that's and where? It's New Zealand. So they have come and blown everybody out, and they won the World Cup in the New Zealand, which is overseas for them. And what we got out of New Zealand tour, we got players like Prithvi Shaw, who scored a century already in Test cricket. So that's under 19, creating cricketers who can play longer innings in Test cricket and score centuries. Now, it's a really sad story that Prithvi couldn't play in Australia, but Australia missed out on watching a gem of a guy in batting these levels. Prithvi Shaw played one local match here as a practice match and scored 60 plus runs. And again, there was flamboyant shots and beautiful to watch. So our opening problem would have been gone. And I was not worried about the opening problem because I knew we had Mayank Agarwal and Prithvi Shaw. So that probably will be the combination moving forward in Test cricket for the next 3, 4, 5 years if everything goes well. Then again, we have players like Shubman Gill coming out from there. Obviously, he's playing in IPL really well. He is our backup once we have Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane stepping off the national team. So as you can see, we have our second level already done. We have fast bowlers ready to go. We have spinners ready to go. We have, and this is not happening just now. This has happened. Virat Kohli is a product of under-19 cricket. Played for and actually won the World Cup for India. Mohammad Kaif, under-19 cricket. Ravindra Jadeja, under-19 cricket. Yuvraj Singh, under-19 cricket. So all these players have actually played for the same team that won the World Cup. So there's a whole heap of examples out there for us. Obviously, Yuvraj Singh and Mohammad Kaif, they played earlier than Virat Kohli's era. But all these structures are there. Now, in India, we have 4 levels of cricket happening there. So one is the club cricket level. Very serious club cricket level happens across different different states. 37 states play first-class cricket, but before you get to the first-class cricket, there are divisional club cricket, first division, second division, super division. I played in Mumbai in the Kangal League, which is a cricket that happens now. In cricket, has always not been a year-long game. It's just recently for the last 10, 15 years probably, ever since IPL came in. But otherwise, it was always a winter game. Now, in Mumbai, they still have that, the Kangal League, which is the game is played around the June, July, August, like a summer cricket, where it rains and you have to play on soggy cricket, where as a bowler you need to know how to bowl on slippery tracks. If you put the ball too much hard on the deck, it will not fly. However, if you are a batsman, you need to know how to play those soft balls coming off the wicket. So there's a lot of challenging situations. The pressure of people waiting. Yes, we have 1.2 billion people there, but not everybody plays cricket, by the way. But again, having said that, obviously there will be more people waiting outside the ground to play the game. So there's a lot of talents who will never make it to the game. I'll give you myself as an example. My first match, I was playing for a club called Sporting Union. And the only time I got my first match for that club is when the club was playing relegation, which means throughout the whole season, I didn't get a game to play. And at that point of time, I was probably bowling 128 kilometers per hour. It's because the people who were playing were better than me, or the club officials had more faith on them than me. They need to try me out. And then when it didn't work, they brought me in. I took the first match I played, I got 4 for 71. I still remember that. The second match I played, I scored about 29 runs of 8 balls and won the match. And then that's how we got out of it. So there's a lot of, and because of this waiting outside, I used to rock up hoping that I'll get a game today. Now, if in Australia, in club cricket, that doesn't happen. If you are sitting out of the game, one is you don't sit out of a game, you get a game. Two is if you sit out of a game, you probably have lost the impetus to come back next time. You say, oh, they don't play me, I can't be bothered. And the three, most importantly, is sometimes we don't have enough players to play for the club. So, you'll play with 10 players or 9 players. It doesn't happen in India. There's always more than enough player waiting there. So that is there. Our domestic club level, there's no T20 level of cricket happening as such. I mean, odd cricket happening, that's fine, fair enough. But in serious club cricket level, there is still a 2 days game to start off with, where you have to play for 2 days, and you can actually play the whole of 2 days. You don't have to retire after the first day. So basically, you can play for a full day and another second day lunchtime, and then let it go. Other people can come and bat. Blah 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 blah. So that long-term cricket is there. Longer tenure cricket is there. Plus there is one-day cricket. So once you've gone through all that, then you play for the state team. If you play really well, then you only get. I mean, there's only that many people that can play for the state team. Then once you play for the state team, then that's called Ranji Trophy, which is the first-class cricket level. That goes on for 4 days. Then you have a zonal team. So there is 5 zones in India: north, south, east, west, and central. So every zone will have about 8 to 9 states, depending on the size of the zone. I came from the east zone. We used to have Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Assam, Tripura. So pretty much 5-6 teams. So that team will comprise of the zonal team, and they will play a Dalit Trophy. And then you have the Devhat Trophy. Then you have an Irani Trophy, which is, again, these are all long-term cricket. These are all 4-day crickets. This keeps on happening from the beginning of the season, which starts in October, goes all the way till March, similar to Australian cricketing season. Once that whole cricketing thing is done, then we go and play IPL in April. So IPL doesn't come in the way of your trend of cricket. And that's exactly why we had Mayank Agarwal flying in on a Friday. And within 3-4 days, he plays the Melbourne Test and plays with a lot of attitude, with a massive positive approach, and with a very strong body language. So because he knew I belong here. So one, he was hungry to play for the Indian team. Two, he has been playing 4-day cricket, so he knows how to handle long-term cricket. He didn't fly in from a T20 match like you would have to do now in Australia. If you want a new face in Australia to play for Australia in the next match, the only tournament you can go back to is Big Bash. So how can you expect the guys who are slogging left, right, center all of a sudden will switch every gear off and think of strategic way of playing a longer term innings? It doesn't happen. I wouldn't say humanly impossible, but very close to being impossible. Again, then Mayank Agarwal comes, the result is evident in front of you. So his hunger, his attitude, his approach, his technique, everything matches, and he's gone. He scored 76 runs straight away in the first innings, 40 plus in the second innings. Third innings, he scored 77. Well, he took the game a bit, so he went a bit ahead of the game and had a bit of a rush of blood and got out in Sydney. But what I'm coming from is not just with the bat. He was marvelous with the shot, in a close catching position. He took a couple of catches in the close catches. And he's everywhere. He's running around. He's a bubbly young man. Again, you have Hanuma Bihari. Again, Rohit Sharma leaves to go and attend his family. Who comes? Hanuma Bihari was asked to open in Melbourne. He did open. He knew what he exactly had to do. He played more than about an hour and a half to score his 8 runs. Doesn't matter. But he got the base that the team needed. So everybody knows what they have to do. And this long-term cricket is not something new to them. Like Australia had Aaron Finch opening, who didn't even know how to play long-term cricket for long because he hasn't played the game for long in terms of long-term cricket. And most international stars, especially people like Finch and others, they don't have enough opportunity time-wise or their commitment-wise. They have the IPL and they have one days and their T20s, everything happening around them to play for the Sheffield Shield, which is the longer version game in first-class cricket of Australia. So unfortunately, that's how the structure is. So we need to look really closely into whether we need to do something about the structure. We need to change the structure if needed be because it's not working. That's all I can say. Again, coming back to Australian seam bowling, Pat Cummins was looking so ordinary in Sydney because he scrambled seam. Because of the fact that, yes, he bowls line and length, so he can keep things tight and easy, but it is humanly impossible to bowl exact good line and length all throughout the day. If you have a scramble seam, you're not giving the ball an opportunity to swing. So as a result of that, you are only relying on awkward bounce. So if the ball lands on the seam, then it can have the potential of jumping up from a good length or spiking up. Or if it lands on the leather part of the story, it can skid in and keep low. So that's potentially what he's working on and what he has been working on. Obviously, he got a bit of success with that on wickets that actually had that favorable had that, or what should I say, the wicket was favoring that sort of bowling as well. If the wicket is a little bit uneven or a little bit double bounce, then that can really work well, and which has actually worked well. He has the pace to back it up, so that's actually the plus point that combats his lack of skill of seam bowling. But in Sydney, you could see he looked so ordinary because the wicket was not conducive, was much flatter and much, much truer to bat on. And that's why it didn't work. Josh Hazlewood is the only one who was bowling with the seam upright, and that's why he was getting a bit of swing. He looked really good. He was bowling fast, and obviously got the first wicket as well of the day, of the innings. Again, Mitchell Starc, had those Campbell seam issue as well. Like I said, now if you are not happy with all these three fast bowlers, which is this is the best fast bowling attack that Australia has at the moment, you don't have anybody to come and replace Mitchell Starc and just take it on. We had Ravindra Ashwin. People don't even remember when Ashwin came in and played and went off. So after the Adelaide test, Ashwin was off, and we never missed him because Perth, we didn't need him. Perth was a mistake. India should have played Kuldeep Yadav in Perth or Jadeja. Well, that's a different story. But apart from Perth, Jadeja played in Melbourne, beautifully played, scored runs, took wickets and did what he had to do. This test match, both Jadeja scored runs. Kuldeep took 5 wickets, did what they had to do. So everything is in absolute proper order. It's just that so once somebody falls, the other one pops in. It is because of the structure we have at the moment. There are spotters who go across the nation now to spot out players that have the potential to play IPL, for example. Now, once you have Jasprit Bumrah is a product of IPL, so Jasprit Bumrah came to IPL, and then once they found that he has the metal in him, he has a quality about him, he has a control in his bowling, blah blah blah. Then they worked on him and said, look, you have the mettle to play Test cricket. And Jasprit Bumrah said that he had the hunger to play Test cricket as well. He was not happy with just T20 and a bit of fame and a bit of money. So that's why they kept him, didn't make Jasprit Bumrah make a debut in India because they knew the level of bowling that he has. If he gets a favourable wicket and if he gets a good start, then there's nothing stopping him. And now you can see in 10 matches he has played 50 plus wickets already. And so that is where I'm coming from. T20 is not a bad thing, but it's where Australian cricket is stopping at the moment. It's all about the Big Bash League in Australia. Well, in India, it is not all about IPL. And when IPL comes, there is no other international level of cricket happening there where we need a back-end support. So right now, the one-day series is coming up very shortly. India is playing a lot of one-day cricket in domestic levels as well. So if somebody needs to come and join in, they can always join in at any drop of a hat. So cut long story short, thank you for listening to me throughout the whole thing. But all I would say is I'll be tagging this video with Cricket Australia and see what they have, not have to say, but if they can do something to revive the Australian cricket, because there's a lot of potential out here, there's a lot of talent out here, which doesn't always get noticed. And I think a new vision and a new mindset needs to come from the Cricketing Development Authority of Australia, which is basically Cricket Australia, and have programs where where one can go and say, well, I need to learn some serious cricket, not just play a bit of cricket, but learn some serious cricket. So that go-to is not happening. We let it go pretty easily, and that's it. And then we are accepting a lot of mediocrity because we are scared that if I am too hard on this guy and within inverted commas a bit too harsh, then that's the last time we see him. So pretty much we are leaving the game in their hands to do a favor by playing it. Anyway, have a wonderful night ahead, and congratulations, India, for this marvelous performance and the strategic way of going about with this. The cricketing, the success you see on the ground is actually there's a lot of story that's happening behind the scene, which is happening all across India, which is happening in their club levels, right from the under 13 level. If you go and watch any cricket coaching center in India at the under 13 level, you will see how serious the kids are about bowling line and length, about bowling seam bowling, about playing cover drive, about playing the right shots. And if they are not, they're getting rebuked by, scolded by their coaches. And he cares a damn. If you don't like it, don't come back in. If you're playing cricket, play the right way or don't play it at all. So that's the attitude they have. And that's why that strict upbringing of in the cricket in the grassroots level is creating that hunger and that trust in them to go for highest level of success. And obviously the structure is also helping them. So if Mayank Agarwal came from a T20 Big Bash, he would have probably gone out after scoring a couple of boundaries. So that's the structural backing that we are getting. So we're getting a lot of money coming in, sponsorship coming in, and structural development happening. A lot of cricketers like Rahul Dravid. If Rahul Dravid is a coach of an Indian under-19 team, which won the World Cup as well, you know that you are having the game in the right hand. The cricketers of the under-19 team look up to Rahul Dravid as a complete batsman. And a person who has been very successful, who has played the highest level of cricket, got a lot of accolades, got a lot of recognition worldwide, a lot of fame worldwide as well, a lot of respect worldwide as well. So you understand how a long innings is played. And finally, I mean, the two big innings that we talk about in Australian context, which is 281 from Rashman. Rahul Dravid scored 140 plus in that innings, which is 240 plus from Sachin. Again, Rahul Dravid scored a century. So Rahul Dravid scored a lot of centuries which went unnoticed during his career. But anyway, so he actually gives these young cricketers a mindset of a racing horse for a longer course. Not a quick short win. There's no shortcut to success. And if they come to know about that at a very young age, then they will expect and understand what is coming their way, and they will deal with it. And that's why we have such a good supply of performances. So once again, congratulations to Indian cricket team for winning the series. This is the fourth day of the fourth test match. The high chances of washout tomorrow. If not, then either India can win the game tomorrow or there'll be a draw. Either way, India will win the series on a 2-1 margin or on a 3-1 margin. But this is a historic win after 72 years. And congratulations. And we now look forward to a fantastic combat of ODIs. And we'll see Australia will bounce back. I hope so. And then we'll have an amazing one-day competition there. Till then, enjoy your night and enjoy your time. And I hope you'll found some sense out of this video. Thanks. Good night.